My sister forged our dead father's signature to steal $2 million from me. What she doesn't know is, I have the original will. And I've been waiting 3 years to destroy her. Growing up, my sister was always the favorite. Always. I'm talking private school tuition for her while I went to public school. A brand new car for her 16th birthday while I got a used bicycle. College fully paid while I worked 3 jobs to afford community college. My name is, let's call me Maya. My sister? We'll call her Jessica. Our dad was a successful real estate developer. Self-made millionaire. He built his empire from nothing, and I always admired that about him. Our mom died when I was 8 and Jessica was 12. After that, Dad threw himself into work, and into spoiling Jessica. Me. I was the invisible child. The one who had to prove herself constantly. The one who never got the approval, the attention, the love. But you know what? It made me strong. Independent. Successful in my own right. By the time I turned 30, I was a senior accountant at a major firm. I had my own apartment, my own life. I didn't need Dad's money. Jessica. She never worked a real job in her life. At 34, she was still living off Dad's credit cards, bouncing between business ventures that always failed. 3 years ago, Dad got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. The doctors gave him 6 months. He called me to the hospital. Just me. For the first time in my life, I got time alone with my father. Maya, he said, I failed you. I see that now. I was so afraid of losing Jessica after your mother died that I forgot I had 2 daughters. He was crying. My father was actually crying. I'm changing my will, he said. You're getting the business. The properties. Everything. Jessica gets a trust fund, enough to live comfortably, but she needs to learn what you already know. How to stand on her own. $2 million in assets to me. $500,000 in a trust for Jessica. I didn't know what to say. I just held his hand. Don't tell her yet, he said. Let me handle it with the lawyer. I'll talk to her when I'm ready. He never got the chance. Dad died 2 weeks later. Faster than anyone expected. The funeral was a nightmare. Jessica played the grieving daughter perfectly. Designer black dress, dramatic tears, the whole performance. I just stood there, numb. I'd lost the only parent I'd ever had just when we were finally connecting. 3 days after the funeral, Dad's lawyer called me for the will reading. There's been a complication, he said. His voice was strange. Careful. I walked into that office expecting to hear about my father's final wishes. About the business he wanted me to run. About his faith in me. Instead, the lawyer slid a document across the desk. This was filed yesterday, he said. A revised will. Dated 2 weeks before your father's death. My hands shook as I read it. Everything, the business, the properties, the entire $2 million estate, went to Jessica. I got $10,000. Barely enough to cover the funeral costs I'd already paid. That's impossible, I said. Dad told me. I'm sorry, the lawyer said. This is signed, witnessed, and legally filed. There's nothing I can do. I looked at that signature. My father's signature. I'd seen it thousands of times growing up. On birthday cards. On school permission slips. On Christmas presents. This wasn't his signature. Close. Very close. Someone had practiced. But the R in his middle name, Robert, was wrong. Dad always made it with a distinctive loop. This one was straight. I need to contest this, I said. The lawyer sighed. Do you have the original will? Without it, this is what stands. I lied. No, I don't. Because in that moment, sitting in that office, looking at my sister's forgery, I realized something. If I contested it immediately, she'd just fight me. Hire lawyers with Dad's money. Drag it out for years. And maybe, just maybe, the forgery was good enough to hold up. No. I needed a different approach. I needed to let her think she'd won. Let her build her life on stolen money. Let her get comfortable, arrogant, careless. And then I'd take it all away. For 3 years, I watched and waited. Jessica took over Dad's real estate business. She had no idea how to run it, but she hired people who did. She moved into Dad's penthouse, started driving his Mercedes, posted constantly on social media about her self-made success. Self-made. Right. Meanwhile, I played the role of the hurt but accepting little sister. I congratulated her, showed up to her birthday parties, liked her Instagram posts. She never suspected a thing. But I was busy. So busy. First, I hired a forensic document examiner. Cost me $5,000. Worth every penny. He confirmed what I knew. The signature was forged. He documented everything in a detailed report. Second, I found the witnesses who supposedly signed Dad's new will. One was a nurse who'd been on vacation during Dad's final weeks. The other was a hospital administrator who didn't even work in Dad's unit. Both had been paid cash by Jessica. They told me everything once I showed them the penalties for fraud. I recorded every conversation. Legally. With their consent. Third, and this is my favorite part, I tracked every single transaction Jessica made with the estate money. Dad's business. She was running it into the ground. Bad investments. Expensive business trips to Europe. A new boyfriend who drove a Maserati she bought him. She'd blown through nearly $800,000 in 3 years. But here's what she didn't know. Dad had left me something. Not in the will. Something he'd given me the day before he died. A letter. And a USB drive. The letter said, "Maya, if anything happens to me before the will is changed properly, everything you need is on this drive." I learned I can't trust Jessica with money. I'm documenting everything so she can't forge or contest anything. Make sure justice is done. I love you. I always did. I just didn't know how to show it. Dad knew. He knew Jessica might try something. That USB drive contained a video of him reading his real will, scanned copies of the original legal will, documentation of every asset in the estate, evidence of Jessica's previous financial fraud. Yes, previous. A letter to his lawyer explaining everything. I had a nuclear bomb. And I'd been waiting for the perfect moment to drop it. That moment came 6 months ago. Jessica got engaged to the boyfriend. The one driving the Maserati she bought. She posted about it everywhere. Marrying the love of my life. Dad would be so proud. Dad would be disgusted. She planned this massive wedding. Beachfront venue. 300 guests. A dress that cost $40,000. All paid for with my inheritance. I RSVP'd yes. Even offered to help with planning. She ate it up. Oh Maya, you're such a good sister. 2 weeks before the wedding, I finally made my move. I filed a lawsuit to contest the will. All 3 years of evidence. The forensic analysis. The witness confessions. The USB drive contents. Everything. But I didn't stop there. I sent copies of everything to the police, forgery and fraud charges, the IRS, tax evasion on unreported income, Dad's business partners, breach of fiduciary duty, every major news outlet in our city, rich girl steals inheritance. The morning it all hit, I was sitting in a coffee shop across from Dad's office building. The one that should have been mine. My phone rang. Jessica. I let it ring. Then ring again. 12 calls in 10 minutes. Finally, I answered. Maya. Her voice was hysterical. Screaming. What did you do? What did you do? I did what Dad would have wanted, I said calmly. I made sure his real will was honored. You can't do this. The wedding is in 2 weeks. I've spent You've spent MY money, I interrupted. $800,000 of MY money. On cars and trips and a wedding for a man who's only with you because you're rich. Or were rich. You're insane, she spat. I'll fight this. You'll go to prison, I said. The police already have the evidence. Forgery. Fraud. Witness tampering. That's 5 to 10 years, Jessica. Minimum. I could hear her breathing. Panicked. But I'll make you a deal, I continued. One-time offer. Sign over everything. Every asset. Every property. The business. Everything you took from me. Do it today, and I'll drop the criminal charges. You'll face civil penalties, probably bankruptcy, but you won't go to prison. You're my sister, she whispered. How can you do this to me? You stood at our father's grave and smiled while spending the inheritance you stole from me. You erased 3 years of my life, Jessica. You took what he meant to give me as his apology for a lifetime of neglect. How can I do this? How could you? She hung up. Her lawyer called my lawyer. She was signing everything over. The wedding was cancelled. Her fiancé left her the same day. Turns out he really was just after the money. The media had a field day. Real estate heiress exposed for stealing sister's inheritance. Her face was everywhere. Her friends abandoned her. Her social media went silent. 3 days later, I walked into Dad's office building. My office building now. The staff applauded when I entered. They'd known something was wrong. They'd watched Jessica destroy what Dad built. They were relieved. I sat in Dad's chair, my chair, and opened the file drawer. Inside was a photo. Me, Mom, Dad, and Jessica. We were at the beach. I was maybe 6 years old. Dad was holding my hand. For the first time in 3 years, I cried. Really cried. Not for the money. Not for the victory. But because my father had finally chosen me. Even if it was too late to tell me to my face. That was 6 months ago. Jessica lives in a studio apartment now. She works retail. I heard she's going to therapy, finally dealing with her entitlement issues. Part of me feels bad. She's still my sister. But then I remember the 3 years she let me believe I was the worthless daughter who got $10,000 while she inherited millions. The 3 years she spent MY money on designer clothes and expensive trips while I worked 60-hour weeks. The 3 years she laughed at me behind my back, thinking she'd pulled off the perfect crime. Dad's business is thriving now. I've expanded into 3 new markets. We're more profitable than ever. I used part of the estate to set up a scholarship fund for kids like me, the overlooked ones. The ones who have to prove themselves. $200,000 a year for college tuition. It's called the Robert Meyer Memorial Fund. Dad's first name, my first name. Jessica will never get anything from the estate. The judge made that clear. She broke the law, betrayed family, and showed zero remorse until she got caught. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. Last month, she sent me a letter. Handwritten. No lawyer, no manipulation. It just said, I'm sorry. I see now what Dad saw in you. You were always the strong one. I hope someday you can forgive me. Even if I don't deserve it. I haven't responded. Maybe I will someday. Maybe I won't. But I framed that letter and put it next to the photo from Dad's drawer. Because that's what winning really looks like. Not the money. Not the business. It's knowing that even the people who hurt you most eventually have to admit you were right all along. So that's my story. 3 years of patience. 3 years of planning. And one devastating blow that changed everything. Now here's what I want to know. Have you ever dealt with a family member who betrayed you? A sibling who stole from you? A relative who played favorites and left you out in the cold? Drop your story in the comments right now. The most shocking one gets featured in next week's video. And trust me, we're covering some wild family drama. If you think my sister got exactly what she deserved, Smash that like button. And if you want to see more stories of people who got revenge on family members who wronged them, hit subscribe. I post 3 new revenge stories every single week. Share this with anyone who's ever been the forgotten child or the one who had to fight for everything while someone else got it handed to them. Remember, patience isn't just a virtue. Sometimes it's the sharpest weapon you have. I'll see you in the next one.